There's a great old story that I love that I've been telling for many years. I think may have told it here before, but get over it. If you've heard it before, just, you don't mind my repeating myself. Uh, and that's the story about a little bug that flew in a window because they didn't have screens and landed on this big Persian rug that was on the floor. And it landed on this great little orange spot and was, oh my God, it felt so good. It was like dancing around, loving the orange and feeling the orange. And then he moved over a little bit further and he was on a blue place. And oh my God, he started getting depressed because all he could see in all directions was blue. So sad, so tired. Oh my gosh, I just feel awful. Like all I can do is remember all those terrible things that have ever happened to me. And then he crawled a little further. He was on red, and he got mad. He was all fired up with the red. I don't know about you, but red, all he could think about was all those things that had happened to him, and now he was mad at everybody about it. He crawled a little further, and he's stomping around on the red, and all of a sudden he lands in a black spot. And he looks, and in all directions, all the little bug could see was black. And he just hardly could move. Felt so sad and so depressed, so empty. And so he just sort of rolled over on his back, and as he rolled over, he rolled out of the black into yellow. And all of a sudden he started feeling light and energy. And so as he looked around, laying there on his back, all he saw was yellow. And you know what he remembered? He remembered who he really was. And then he could fly. And so he lifted his wings and he started to fly and he lifted above, and all of a sudden he could see that rug in all of its beauty and colors and patterns. And it's been an image for me for my whole life to think about that. When we remember who we are, we can be lifted up by love. We can lift ourselves up. We can lift each other up to that place where the eagles fly or cry in this song, but I like fly better. Fly like eagles. There's an old proverb, something about that. Those who wait upon the law, the love, the truth will be lifted up. We'll fly like eagles. Yeah. See, that story is what the whole of today's talk is about. And, I'm going to do a little talk, and you've been listening to a lot of good stuff. By the way, that reading was by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching. A teaching that, as of this year, is 100 years old as an organization. Yeah. At the same time, we here in this grand experiment of brand new diversity called the United States of America are going to be celebrating our 250th anniversary on Thursday. Great anniversary times. And you know what? Here's the sticky part. It ain't ever going to be the same again. There are folks who are still hanging out, hoping we're going to get back to pre-whatever. Pre-COVID or when I had a divorce or when my parents passed away or pre-this or pre-that. We all are so often pulled back to wishing things were the way they were at a time we remembered where we were happier, perhaps, or we thought we were. That's past. So the good news is it's never happening again. And for some people, that's the bad news. But the real good news is that we get to create something new. Part of what I love about that reading is talking about this whole thing of when we clearly see our current situation and the current situation around us as the evolution of thought showing up as form, we can have a different perspective on it. We don't have to step away from it. We are, I don't know about you, but I am constantly invited, invited to ignore my life. Anybody else have that? You get invited to ignore your life? Addiction is a great way to do that. You can ignore your life. If you got a cell phone where you're constantly looking at things, I love where I'm staying. Would you hand me my water, please? I usually have one up here, but not today. Thank you. Where I'm staying, we have a lot of younger folk who are abandoning the front desk. And each and every one of them, when you walk up there, they're reading. And I don't blame them. It gets boring sitting there at the front desk waiting for somebody to show up. But you could be doing something else. You could be looking around. And what I've discovered in my life, and I don't mean to make anybody wrong here, what I discovered in my life is one great way to avoid my life is to live somebody else's. And I can do that on my phone. I can watch a movie. I can watch short form videos that pop up and show me something new and different every 3 minutes. And after a while, I don't even know what's going on around me. I get so into it, I don't see anyone. People scare me sometimes because they walk up and say hello, and I'm like, wait a minute, what, where? So you know what I'm talking about. We live in a world where we are invited out of ourselves, out of our truth, out of our knowing who we are. Excuse me. And that invitation is very tempting because it pulls us back to what was or what we think might have been. You know, and so it's this choice. We can choose instead to see the moment right now as a result of thought. Got to show up, got to be there no matter what. And if we look at that through the eyes of love, you're looking at it with your creative superpower, he says. I'm not sure Holmes actually used those words, but that's what it said. That's what it says he said. Your superpower. A lot of stuff about superpowers lately with all the Marvel heroes and sheroes and whatever that's gone on. But your superpower is that ability to create your life according to your beliefs, what you believe is really true. Now, this teaching does not say you're going to get everything you want. Wish that were different, maybe. But it does say we will become what we believe ourselves to be. And we will draw to us those things which we believe we deserve to have in our lives. That we really believe it in our hearts with our primary thought. That's how we create the new. That's how we will create going forward. In about 1982, maybe 83, before most of you were born, I sat with a group of guys in a little apartment in Atlanta trying to figure out how we were going to get food to our friends who were dying of AIDS. We just didn't know what we were going to do. Someone said, well, Meals on Wheels won't deliver to them, so maybe we can do that. So we worked out a deal with Meals on Wheels where we could go and gather the food and go and deliver it because we weren't afraid of our friends. That started at Atlanta, which right along with a movement that you're going to hear about here later today that happened right here in Lexington and has happened all over the world about that time. How did we do that? We created and we envisioned and knew there had to be a better way, and we wanted to be part of it. And we put our love and our thoughts into what we could do to make the world a better place. And we got off our butts and went and did something because we were drawn to. Now, the teaching I was in at that time was this teaching. We didn't go as a group, as a church, and do anything because that wasn't our job, because not everybody in the city knew or cared about doing that stuff. But what we each individually cared about, we were invited to participate in and get out there and do something about it, as well as participate just in our own personal growth. I had to face my fears about death to carry a tray into someone and we didn't know at that time how you caught this thing, where walking in the same room would be enough to die from it. So we had to get over our fear of death to do that, and we masked up and we did all that stuff. Now, I'm not doing that to say, yay, Bob. I'm doing that to say, if I can do it, you can do it. You know that TV thing with if Chan can cook, so can you? Well, if Bob can do it, you can do it. If I can get a vision and get out of myself enough to go and participate in it, so can you. We are faced with so much in the world right now that needs our attention and needs our love. But you got to start with the love piece, not the fighting against anything. If you fight against something, you're giving it more power. If you fight for something or you stand for something with love, then you're giving it a power nothing can touch. There's a great, I guess, something about coming back to Kentucky. The Bible just keeps popping into my head. Sorry. But in that New Testament place where John talks about nothing can stand against me. If God be for us, what can be against us? If love is for us, what can be against us? Neither life nor death nor principalities nor anything. It's a beautiful, beautiful poem. And none of this is in my notes. This is kind of how I got going today. So to come back a little more to the point, what I want to do, part of what we do then is infuse that future we imagine and dream of as love, with love. Not just about a future we want to see happen, but we love the idea of it happening. And we love ourselves enough to know we can participate in that new change and that new difference. Yeah. So here's where I'm going to invite you, instead of just listening to some more words from a talking head up here, online as well as here in the room, I'm going to invite you to participate with me on getting in touch with that part of you that so already is in the future, that so already is pulling you toward. There's a part of us that pulls us to grow and pulls us forward. That part of us that brought us to the standing position millions of years ago during the evolutionary process. You and I are the result of billions of years of evolution. It's in your DNA, it's in your bones, it's in your body. Think about that for a minute. You didn't just happen last week or last century for some of us. You happened because of eons of consciousness development and growth until you're here, who you are now. And that gives us a certain amount of stability and power if we can recognize and exercise it. But there's a part of you that has always been calling you forward into the next step, into the next thing. We get sad and depressed and broken sometimes when we are in that space of feeling like we have nowhere up to go or out to go anymore, but just down and out. That's hard. Unless you put love in it and break through it then. And then you can even love the hard stuff. That part of you that pulls you forward, Jean Houston, an amazing futurist and philosopher, teacher, incredible woman who passed away recently. And I had the joy of being a student with her for just a little bit, just a tiny little bit. But she talked about that part of you that's pulling you forward as your entelechy. I'm not going to spell it for you because I can't. I can look at it and tell you. But what it amounts to is what we talk about in this teaching as your higher self, your true self, your beauty self. So I'm going to invite you right now, rather than just me talking about it, to get in touch a little bit with that higher self, that future self, that you self. And we're going to use Jean's process to do that. So if you're comfortable, get your feet flat on the floor so that you're grounded, so that you're where you are. And anyone who prefers not to participate, please feel free not to. There's no magic in this. Feel free to sit there and be who you are. If you want to get up and leave, I love you either way. But if you want to be here and do this, join me. So we start by rubbing our hands together, getting that energy going, warming up your hands a little bit, feeling it. Then close your eyes, and then simply let your hands separate just a little bit. And see if you can still feel the heat and the energy between them. Keep breathing. And as you breathe into it, on the end, let the hands sort of move in and out in the natural way. And see if you can still feel that wonderful life energy in between your hands. It is very real. Scientifically, we can measure it, we can see it, we can look at it. It's not just imagination, although imagination helps bring our awareness to it. And when it begins to feel like it could expand about where you want it to be or where you could sense it, then turn it outward, away from yourself, or imagine yourself with all of that energy of who you are and consciousness of who you are, imagine that true self, that future self, that greater self, that intelligent part of you standing in front of you or sitting in front of you. There you are, the future you're becoming. Just notice who you become, who you desire to become. You see the loving person that you are. You see the whole and beautiful person that you are. See the prosperous person. See the one surrounded by loving relationships. See the juicy creativity flowing within that being that's sitting in front of you. Yes, and as you see it, and if you choose, in your imagination, step forward into that person, to that being that you are becoming. You can do it by putting your hands on your heart. You can do it just by imagination. And now look at your world through that perspective. Look at those things which in today's life concern you, upset you, make you mad, make you hurt. Look back at them from that future self, that becoming self. And just love those parts, those things that show up. Love those parts of you that you may not trust. Now, but in your future self can look back and say, oh, that's what that was about. Another manifestation of life, truth. Yeah. And now with the word of gratitude. Gratitude for who you are becoming. Gratitude that we are creatures of forever, so we can do that. Let your attention begin to return back here, if you're comfortable with that. Did you meet somebody you hadn't met before? Did you see a part of yourself that you maybe didn't know? It's a beautiful practice. It goes along with the other practices we've been doing here lately. In some ways, it's what that Fear to Faith does that we did at our workshop 2 weeks ago, is it invites you to become the being that you know yourself to be in your true heart, your true self, and that we all long for, we long to express. It's a beautiful, powerful thing to do for yourself and for the world. With all the stuff going on, and we were talking about some of it out in the front before we came in. The things that disturb us and upset us, with people close to us being hurt and harmed and treated poorly, or people we don't even know about, but we read about. We don't know, but we read about being treated ways that we think is awful. But human beings treat each other pretty awfully in many ways. But what is so important right now is all those colors are coming to the surface so we can see them. So much used to be done in secret. Now it's out in the open. Nobody knew in the 1980s that some of us were doing what we were doing for other people, or that AIDS was even an issue beyond a certain minor little group of people, according to the government. But the truth is it was there all along, and now we're seeing it. We know it. We understand it. It's a bigger awareness in the world. And that just being gay is not such a weird thing after all, because so many people are and always have been, but had to keep it secret. Same way with so many people who are non-binary, all of those wonderful variations that we're now coming up with, and not coming up with them as if they're new, but recognizing them because they've always been there. But we didn't have names for it. We didn't understand it. We were too stuck in the past. But now we can claim it. And yet our ancient peoples knew it. I love quoting the northern tribes that said that had 11 different genders in their tribes. You think it's confusing nowadays, trying to figure out what because everybody has a gender and a sexual preference or a sexual beingness. It's not even a preference, it's a beingness. And there are many of those as well, including non. So all that stuff that we're dealing with out here in our lives, we all of our embracing and saying, you're welcome here, all of you, whoever you are. And we mean it. And we struggle sometimes with how that works and how that fits. Where people we don't understand come together with people that don't understand each other, and we bounce that around and deal with it. But we deal with it. We face it. We face it with the one thing that is most important, that is love. Because when you put love to the picture, you transform any kind of split or separation or division. Everybody take a deep breath. I see you holding your breath. Come on, take a breath. I know I'm talking about scary stuff here. They used to tell us in ministerial school, if you want to get rid of your people, you want to call out your people, talk about sex and Jesus in the same talk, and that'd be it. Happen every time. Well, I just kind of crossed that barrier, but hopefully you'll all stick around or come on and join us. Because this is a place where we tell the truth and we talk about whatever is coming up as the truth. Yeah. So I'm going to stop talking now because we have some more stuff to share with you before the service is over. But I'm going to ask that you come up so we can do a closing meditation and treatment. And I want to take all of this that you're thinking and feeling and wrap it up. And remember, thought creates. You're creating the next chapter of your life right now by how you're imagining it. Or not imagining it. I don't know about you, but I've been hearing all day, last 2 or 3 days, about how hot it's going to be and how miserable and the whole part of the world's going to be terrible. Well, I'm not going to be miserable. Sorry, folks. I'm imagining a cool experience. Whatever the weather is, I'm imagining my body knows how to manage that. I know it does because I grew up in Florida without air conditioning. Believe me, I know what to do with heat and cold. So my body knows what to do. So I'm creating an imagined life for myself over the next few days of cool, calm, and collected, regardless of what the weather's doing. Now, I might stay in air conditioning to help, but even in the heat, we can change how our bodies react by how we know ourselves to be. So with that idea in mind, let's think about this meditation to be simply about the life you want to create for yourself. So we'll start. Thank you, Teddy. So I settle into this moment, recognizing who I am. I am a divine being living in a universe, a spiritual universe of energy and information. And I am free to create within me, and therefore in my life, as my life, that which I most desire and believe in. And so I embrace the idea that I have of the infinite, of God itself. As this amazing beingness that fills me, that surrounds me, and that in which I live and move and have my being. And I allow that Godness to flow through me in all of its creative power and truth as I choose my life on a day-to-day basis, little choices I make. I trust that each choice guides me to the higher and greater good. For my highest and greatest good is the highest and greatest good for those around me and for the rest of the world. Not instead of. And in that knowing, I embrace fully the beauty and power and diversity around me. The diversity in human beliefs, experiences, human ideas. the diversity of who we are as humans. What bouquet of flowers would be beautiful if it was just one color and that was all there was? Instead, I embrace all the colors of the universe as expressions of love. They're all expressions of white light. We are all created out of the same thing. And I choose today and going forward, I choose today to focus on that alikeness, not sameness, but that we are all the same, created out of the same stuff. Therefore, we're all valuable. We all matter. And I choose love. I choose to put love wherever my heart goes. If my heart goes to pain, I put love there. If my heart goes to loss, I put love there. If my heart goes to wishful thinking, I put love there. When I catch a vision of who I'm becoming, I put love there. And I am so, so, so grateful. Grateful that I live in a universe that works this way. That I am in this universe, that I am part of it. And it's responding to me by my beliefs. I'm grateful for all the people in my life who are my mirrors. Some mirrors I like, some I don't like so much. But they show me what I need to know about myself. And so I welcome this truth of God to move through me and to live in me and as me in this moment and in all the moments to come. As I open my heart and my mind to a greater expression of myself, a greater love for my family and those around me and those I don't know and those I do know, and a greater love for the whole universe as it is. That being true, I can release this treatment now, knowing it is complete. I let it be so, and so it is.